Yes, having our headphones turned on is going to help. In fact, it might be surprising to learn that we in fact do need our headphones turned on for this one. Welcome back to Warframe. This is Varsoon, and today we are going to at least start the old piece. I don't know how long this is. I assume it's going to run a little bit longer than 1999. I have not, at this point, finished all of the 1999 Holvania content. I just finished the 1999 mission. I checked on my cat, who was throwing up a hairball. He's fine. He's doing well. He's taken care of. I gave him several pets, and he is loved. Speaking of giving pets, you gonna let me pet you over here, Panzer guy? No? No Panzer pets today. Right as I say that, he comes over. Okay, Panzer gets pets then. Anyway. So there's not much to catch on this time since last stream, as all I have done is a singular thing, which is I did a single bounty. I ranked up my Holvania. I did a little chat segment. Speaking of the chat segments, I realized that everybody here... I suppose I could replay that if I wanted, or I could replay previous ones. Everyone here is like a little profile. So they're standing, who they are. Arthur, he's rather neutral to me, doesn't know what to do with me yet, feelings mutual, seems standoffish, doesn't like to talk about his personal life. Salem, that's Eleanor. Eleanor and I are still trying to figure out how we feel about each other. We're pretty neutral at this point. She seems to think conversations are a chess match. I think it's about keeping it going as long as possible. Letty and I are still very much learning to interact with each other. I'd say we're neutral at best. Any attempt to talk to her where I waste her time seems to end very poorly for me. She does seem to have a sense of humor, but I should keep it to the point. We got a mirror. For someone who seems pretty neutral to me, he does like to talk a lot. Seems really into robots and games and technology. He's definitely the most curious about the bunch. He seems sweet, though. We got Aoi, who seems the most approachable of the Hex, even if we're still pretty neutral towards each other. And she seems to like to play around more than others, even Amir. Finally, we have Quincy, and Quincy and I don't know what to do with each other yet. We're very neutral. He seems willing to talk. It seems like he wants to see what he can get away with. Testing boundaries? It's hard to say. And yeah, you could see I killed 10 tech rot with abilities because I Wukonged, and Wukong doesn't, you're meleeing guys. Or shooting them, but mostly meleeing them. Anyway, just want to go through all these characters' little profiles. I do like that they have different, styles of posting and their usernames, as well as, the images that they have. All of that. It's cute. It's characterization. I'm there for it. I like high voltage. That's the leet speak for you noobs. I assume Belladonna is the name of her mouse rat thing. Anyway, so no, I have not done very much. But before we get into this, as I was talking about before, I don't think I actually watched the animated stuff for 1999. I thought I did, or that it was in-game, but I was scrubbing around and looking for it, and I don't think I saw anything for it. And so I was going to take some time to watch that. Now I was looking for old piece trailers or other content on the official Warframe page, the Play Warframe channel, and I did not see anything that didn't just seem like it was cutscenes that were going to be in here. There was an advertisement for some characters that I didn't look at. That I assume are just like, oh, look how cool this new frame is. But otherwise, yeah, no, I didn't look at any of the. I don't think there's an actual old piece trailer other than just like a get hype. Here's snippets of the thing. There's not like a whole animated thing that you wouldn't see otherwise. And so, without much further ado, I'm going to switch over to the other input here. Ba-da-ba. And we'll full screen that. And we will watch the Warframe animated prologue, at the very least for 1999. Because I don't think I've seen this yet. I might have seen clips of it here and there, but I don't think I've watched the whole thing. And if I did, I am not sure if I remember or not. So I figure, we just finished 1999. I'll as well watch this and then go into Old Piece.
Same thing tomorrow.
Yeah, I could have sworn we watched that, but maybe we had. In the off case that we didn't. Wow, it's pretty cool. I kind of wish that they did an animated thing for more of these. You know, I think those are interesting. I like little animated visuals. I think they have a lot of personality. And certainly they seem popular enough. I know that they did one for the recent Jade Shadows event. And yeah, I think that they're a neat way to do things. I like animation. I am a big fan of animation. I always have been. I never went into it as a career, despite doing a lot of art whenever I was young. I took a lot of art classes even throughout the years of grade school, all the way through, my upper education. But I never wanted to make a career out of it because it was something that I enjoyed, but I didn't want to. I had a very acute sense that when I was being made to do it when I didn't want to, I did not enjoy what I was creating nearly as much. And I struggled with that sense of, not even burnout, but just not being satisfied with my own creative process when it was being forced for someone else's, needs, I guess, So it very quickly, it was a very early realization. It's like, oh, I don't need to make this work at all. If I make this work, it's no longer the thing I love. But I do love animation. Animation is fantastic, and I enjoy watching different animated series. I'm really glad that American, or at the very least generally Western animation, has started to get over that weird hump that it's been in, where the idea was that adult animation could only be like gross out, sick, pervy nonsense, or had to be like exceptionally mature. Um, and by mature, I mean like that it had to be like you know, if it wasn't comedy, that it had to be something like Rick and Morty, you know, where people had to get, you know, getting their brains blown out left and right type of stuff like that. Like adult animation, like the thing that made it adult wasn't that it was handling critically its media and just treating you with a level of respect and dignity as an audience member, which honestly children's media should just do that too. I think all the best children's media just does that. um, but you know, adult media, especially in animation, has been kind of puerile for a long time in the West. And I shouldn't even use like the kind of sort of like whatever is it kind of pure. It's just been puerile. It's been stuff like Sausage Party, which is just a shame, you know. Uh, but yeah, you know, every now and then you would get something that would break the mold. But largely that was in the comedy spaces, you know, stuff like Venture Brothers was still largely in a comedy space. Um, you know, BoJack Horseman was still in comedy, and so I'm glad that like, you know, it used to be a joke that I had with friends of mine that anytime Titmouse made a new animated original series, it would get a season or two and then die, and that was kind of a shame. I liked some of those series, and even those were comedies in a lot of the cases. Um, but no, I appreciate that we can have stuff like Scavenger's Reign, which I know did not get a follow-up animation, but that animation as a medium has become less and less of a, oh, that's something for kids. Why would you want to watch cartoons? You're an adult. And become something that people actually respect and acknowledge as being an art form and a way to, on an effective budget, do a lot of the cool visual things that you want to do. I mean, doing this sort of stuff in CG would be as expensive, if not more, you know? And then you have to hire actors and you have to pay them. Like, if you just pay voice actors, not celebrity voice actors, just regular voice actors, and then you outsource all your animation to Taiwan or something, let's be real. But no, we have in studio houses here that are largely state-based now, too. I mean, the whole Castlevania series, right, was done out in Texas, I believe. And of course, I really enjoyed for Hades and Hades 2 them tapping. No, I'm not going to remember the people who worked on that at all. Well, the people that they tapped, that group is fantastic. And I just like that, again, as a medium, it's being taken more seriously, and people, well, investors, but also the common consensus has moved towards having a little more respect for it. I still think that the normal person will go, oh, you like cartoons? Weird. But that is less and less the case nowadays. I mean, it's the sort of thing where, like, back in the day, if you told someone you liked anime, they assumed you liked weird Japanese stuff. Like, not, you know, I'm not just watching a show that's, like, normal, but it's got to be something really perverse, is the assumption. Or people don't know what you're talking about, and they're like, yeah, the kids shows, like Pokemon, you know, they even clocked that. So it's definitely had a change. But, yeah, I think about how animated products, especially, you know, I mean, not just in Japan, but just anywhere else in the world, animation doesn't have as much of that sort of stigma, as well as this weird cultural expectation that it's child's stuff. It's for kids. I think animation's really cool, and it's a really cool way to express a world like this. So I hope Warframe does more animated like crossover things. I love animation. Big fan. I will watch almost anything animated. If you want a suggestion of an animated series to go and watch a season of right now, pull out of my hat. I really enjoyed Amphibia. I think Amphibia might be one of the most tightly written, enjoyable kind of. Again, it's a YA show, but it is excellent. That's the other thing is I'm also a writer, and I'm very into narrative, and I'm very into using your medium to its fullest. Man, it really bothered me. Amphibia was airing around the same time as Owl House, and it was like really clear that the writers on Owl House didn't know how to manage a 30-minute time block. Yeah, Lotus, I agree. Okay. But yeah, it was really clear that those writers kind of were bumbling around, didn't really know to handle, like, to balance an A and B plot, or, you know, like, the pacing on a lot of those episodes was whack. The production order that everything got put out in, I guess the release order, was a little whack, too. It didn't gel, and it was weird watching, like, that come out, like, contemporary to Amphibia, where every episode of that felt so tightly written, where like it was like, okay, this is a new episode, I can expect to see something new about the world, learn something new about a character, if not meeting a new character for the first time. There will be a conflict that that is resolved, and that conflict is rooted within the world and a character. There will be a callback to something early, like just like very central sort of structural things that end up being very effective whenever you're making, 13 minutes of animation and you want it to be punctual and effective at what it's doing and not just feel like a waste of time. Which is to say, sometimes a waste of time can be great. I can't. The name of the thing's not coming to me. I think it's a Moynihan show, but the one where it's just essentially like an animated podcast, more or less. It's very stream of consciousness. That one I think is fantastic, but it also is, the animation. It feels almost surreal. Like, let's say surreal. Like I don't know if cerebral's the right word. The animation is like free associative almost. It doesn't necessarily follow like it feels like if you had something on in the background, even when you're actively watching it. That one's worth watching. I should actually pull it up. I should try and find out what I'm talking about so I can tell you the actual name. I'm going to slap myself in the head whenever I actually figure it out. Midnight Gospel. It was the Midnight Gospel. Old Jesse Moynihan worked on some Adventure Time. He was one of the boarders for that. I really liked all of the border-driven shows on Cartoon Network, and I think that was a cool, just following the trajectory of all these careers. Anyway, I could get off on an entire tangent. I love animation. But we're here to play Warframe. And, I've already spent my, 21st minutes of the stream yapping. I didn't even have ketchup. I was just talking about the mustard. No. But let's get into I keep thinking One Piece. The Old Piece. I was going to say, Old Piece, New War, who dis? But it's Old Piece time. Let's see what the game's going to tell us about it. The Old Piece. Albrecht and Trotty's it's Trell, not Trial. Take another pass at that. Drink a little bit of water, clear our throats. The Old Piece. Albrecht and Trotty's Trell leads beyond the origin system, Only by delving into the past can the path ahead be made clear, but buried secrets can be deadly. Alright. Weird that this one didn't hit me. I guess whenever they lock you into something that you can't get out of, then they'll tell you how long it's going to be. So I assume this is going to actually be kind of long. And that, you know... Oh, we got the phone ringing and everything. Wah-ba-ba-da-ba-da. Let's make sure we have appropriate visual. Here we are. Let's see. I must have, due to clicking on my tabs, the music didn't cut in until then. Background and. Let me just say, Big Papa, Excalibur Prime, making me feel like a founder and everything. Very cool. Let me also say, let me see if I can make sure that the stream's all good before I get too carried away with this. Yeah, it's looking like it's going. It's looking like it's going. So let's get back to it. Are my abilities any different? I assume not. I assume it's all the same. These are the prime. Okay. Oh no, you've seen me. Oh, that seems bad. It also would be helpful if I was going the right way. Okay, let's get our bearings and not dunce this up. Okay, we got the Daikyu Prime over here. Where old man's getting in the trenches. Let's like actually, instead of trying to blitz this. Oh man. What even is that thing? I mean, I assume it is some kind of sentience, you know. Going down there makes me fall. Because that looks like some kind of sentient. Sentient. Okay, well. We're gonna. Oh, an holus. I'm a little at a loss as to how this is supposed to help me. You know? Like, am I meant to hit it in the face? Am I meant to dash through it? That looked like I did damage to something. Yeah, it would be very cool if the game would tell me simply what I need to do here. I don't know what I'm missing. Okay, I can hit his turdies. Silly Varsoon, simply use your eyes. You have to hit him in the nips. Yeah, it wouldn't be a sentient if he didn't have really obnoxious weak points that I could only hit vaguely. Yeah, we're gonna do this little carve up segment here. Woo! And shoot our bow a bit. We're gonna keep our arrows nice and primed. Okay, do I have to shoot him in the turries again? Does he have a new... Where's the new weak spot, buddy? I see. It's, on the calves. Woo! Yeah, just throw me right in his groin. And the boin loins, man. You know, Warframe, I am not convinced that you have designed a single good boss fight yet. Maybe the tank is passable, you know? What is that shit? Okay, I can just shoot him for free now. I should probably, like, slice him up. Use my decisive judgment. I mean, he probably likes it a lot less if I shoot him in the face. Let's be real. Yeah, he doesn't... He's not a fan of getting shot in the face. Be really cool if Chroma was here to help out. Uh-huh.
Let's call it even.
Peace offer.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
What did you see?
Tao. How?
But not enough.
Not enough.
This is the only way we find out.
Flooding their head with polluted histories. I won't. Come, Tenho. Let's get you dry. It's okay, Lloyd. I have to. I want to. Some things are best forgotten. I had a friend, Lloyd. Like me. His name was Adis. Again. Relax. We've got this.
Now, you know, I do like getting to see all this, I assume, work and, yeah, stuff. Very cool. Are these, okay.
It's just insane. And all the time it could have been like this.
I like these Grenier fellas. I assume they're Grenier. These fancy Grenier that aren't all messed up. It's just me and my friend Adis. Little flowers, okay. I'm just admiring. Of course, Ballas found a way to be here and more content. Jerk. I noticed that I have 3 different abilities over here. Suppose we'll find out what those do. Yeah. Growing up, I lived near a town called Addis. So, 1 extra D, but very close to this little fella's name.
They'd invite you to dinner, then panic over what to feed you. Did they ever tell you what happened to
I've heard of machine learning, but have you heard of machine forgetting?
I trust exam over the Oracle. Have him report to me daily.
Well, you only get a little bit of a glimpse of old Margie over there. As Ballas would have it, we can't be seeing Marge. Who? Excuse me? Maybe I'll get a chance to look at all of these at another point, but he's got a little bit of that Styanax steez going on there. Captivating. What are we looking at over here? It's not a harrow. Or revenant, kind of. Hey, Daklo. Daklo, let me tell you something, little guy. I've got a dude called Ortis, and he doesn't suck nearly as much. Daklo, come. Daklo, look at me when I'm. Daklo, look at me when I'm talking to you. Daklo. Daklo, you little shit. Daklo. I will process you into parts, Daklo. Yeah, you better be lucky that the dojo is where I practice my powers, Daklo. So I assume this is another void potential reality that doesn't actually exist, but by glimpsing a timeline that could have been, I can perhaps find a way to access powers that never were. And perhaps a way to get to town. I mean, now I do think that this is a, while it's probably easy to be cynical about, well, what are they doing with Warframe now? We're time traveling, we're coming out with alt worlds, multiverse shenanigans. Is this even the game that has been built up for however long? But I do think that exploring the void stuff and opening up, good move. It's Naramon. Wait, I didn't practice in Naramon nearly. I'm gonna say it's true. Dang. There's no way we could have known.
So, the Seven are coming? The treaty is not as finished as we would wish. The conditions laid upon our stewardship.
No.
Let's go, Truth Bloom.
Oh, okay, yeah. I do like that our Archimedean was a sentient. That was cute. Excuse me? Torm's Dust Bowl, Garmin Plains. Parental Crater, Takam. I assume these are all places on Tau that we could maybe explore one day. But right now it's the Boro Overlook. Surely Tau will be a cool place. We're just dropping, huh? Yeah. Silly Dax. You're not, you know, our buddies. Well, it wouldn't be a new extension of the main plot without music.
Was the old Macross cannon. Can you take it out?
Couldn't use his Orican regular grammar. I say Orican, but sentient. No Tau resources for me to get here. Anyway. Fuck learning Nameron, you don't even know how to construct a sentence.
Go talk up, Ace. I've got your back.
Authentic friend, Tango.
Yes, well.
Xenoflora. Flowers. The only real alien life we've ever found, and the Siths scarfed them down like Cobra Chow. Just as well for us they did, eh, Tenno? Suddenly they've all got minds of their own. So no more hive mind. So no more war. Ready?
Exposition Dumpman. Don't say things like Tau fills you. It's uncomfortable.
Take out that gun, Tenno. We're getting pounded.
Time to be. What say you all? Shall we enlighten this Tenno?
Are we doing anything, Adis? You're just gonna, you know, you're gonna float around a little? Okay. I feel like we were already in a pretty cool position, Adis, but you know, whatever you think is right, buddy. It's your call, friend. Do I just have like an art gun? What is this Trumna nonsense? Get him with my Tauron strike, huh? Okay. Wicked. Hurry where? I'm curious, this is just a moss, kind of? Earlier in the cave, I didn't know if those were captivating. I did not know if it was like wall art or if it was actually a moss, but it looks like it's just like a lichen or something like that. Egg. A he. A who, a how. I don't really know that that's any better. Yeah, I'm actually getting cooked. Can we recover shields, or is that, you know, catalyzing as a thing of another timeline? Do we have a... We very clearly have at least like a sling, maybe? I am very unsure of our capabilities. You said you would heal. Did you mean the Oracle and not me? Because I could use some healing, Adis. You know. Come on. That was whack. Okay. Adis, I would like the healing. If you could provide me with the healing. Adis, you are a fraud. Act Bronco Prime, though. I think I'll stick to the Trumna. Thank you very much. You know, it's a circular trap that it was in, but on the map it's a square. Just food for thought, you know? I will say, the haptics on the PlayStation 5 controller have been really good for this portion of gameplay. And cinematic.
It was him or me. Him or me. I killed him, Lotus.
Tango, the truth of Tau must not be taken from us again. I need you to go back under, however briefly. If the danger becomes too great, in your mind or in this place, you will sense it.
Yeah, okay. Hey, whoa, who are we? We're the devil. It's Satan. Well, hold on. Declo, I'm glad that your ass got glassed, man. And I'd do it again. You little fuck. Little shit. Little garbage can. Floating trash. Anyway. Yeah, you know, I know they're really trying to make me care about sentient here, but, you know, I can't. I do. It is super convenient. And I hope that it does get addressed beyond, you know, like, wow, we just showed up in Tau and there happened to be a flower, the only thing on Tau, and that flower happened to make it to where the sentients, they could just be, like, you know, normal and they're not trying to kill all of us. Cool! And it's like, excuse me? You know? It's very heavy MacGuffin territory right now. And I don't know. There's part of me that's willing to excuse it as a literal device of the plot if part of the world jumping that we're doing is finding a Tau that hypothetically exists with this capability. Right? That, like, that's not actually something that's on Tau. That, you know, the actual Tau is not like this Tau, but instead this is a Tau that exists in a world that Tau creates a sentient flower thing.
Edith? You lost something.
Many things.
Yeah. Me too.
I know. Let's not lose the we. Also,
Never. So, do you want to go hunting? With me?
always.
And nothing bad could have ever happened again. I'm glad that they patched things up, you know. I didn't want this falling out to be permanent, you know. It just took off their face, and then they looked like that thing that we killed. You know, a sentient. They're all sentients. Now I'm not entirely sure what the deal is, why the sentients wouldn't do murder all life, or and then, you know, underbalance enslave all life. I'm not entirely sure what the motivation is there originally.
Warning debris field. The prey has gone to ground, my hunters. Catch me!
Edith, get on comms. We need intel. I'm going after them.
Because, as far as I understood, and maybe I need to, like, you know, I'm going to abort the mission. Maybe I need to go into the lore primer inside this game and see, but as far as I understood, the sentients were just creations of the Orokin that then became not self-aware so much as, I guess they gained sentience. I suppose that's the whole, like, literally in the name. But no, that they immediately went, hey, we're not going to just be your machines, we're going to kill everything. And I don't know if, like, I don't know if there was a virus or a condition, you know, that made it to where they became murder robots, you know? Or if that was just, like, their prerogative as, you know, wanting to screw over humanity. I'm not sure. Not sure. But we're going to go to the Garmin Plains and go hunting, because that's apparently one of our favorite things to do. And certainly won't backfire, so that we have a different weapon.
Can you narrow it down?
We've got to get a better way to get planet side. Interesting. What is this? It shoot. It stab. This thing is cool. I imagine it's not very good, but maybe it is. Kinda wanted to listen to what those guys had to say. Hey now. You can't be out here duveering at me.
Dax cannot defy Kuva, but Anarchs defy Oregon? How?
Oregon houses clash all the time. Dax can kill troops. They just can't hurt the Golden Lords themselves.
Maybe through Hodgkin, they try to find a way?
I see. That's interesting. So they're trying to use the Sentients to do a proxy war. I don't know if proxy war is necessarily the appropriate term. Basically, the Dax literally can't harm the Oregon. Something I didn't know.
Can you just not talk?
Sorry. Talking to myself.
Okay. I like the visualizer for how much ammo it has. I assume that's what that is. No, that.
The blues, tell me it is free. All know this.
What happens if you don't get done?
Hunger. For orders. If none come, hive mind would return.
Okay. So I'm getting some pretty good lore. It's a little straight exposition-y for my taste, but I do like that Aegis exists as a way to like kind of naturally have our character question things that they wouldn't beforehand, at least in this reality.
Gotta scramble this targeting array, Aegis. That ought to bring the Lestratus out of hiding. Okay, codes.
Nodes and codes. I will note that whenever I go into operator mode, I do have Count Ampula, my famous amp. So, that's at least the same. I think it has a little bit of kick. Oh boy, come on. Did I drop the code because I picked up the gun? No. Ugh. The lack of any sort of health recovery, no equilibrium, bad times, you know? No! Overshot that one greatly. Alright. Here we go into the shuttle. Back to Ada's. As we scuttle. Again, not gonna make me have sympathy for the sentient. Yeah, sure is a lot of war for the old piece, huh? My shiny metal ass. Okay, we're back to this.
Your service is acknowledged. Escort the executor to the extraction point.
On board is who?
One of the seven.
I assume that those are the fellas that we have the big golden statues of. The Council of Seven, or whatever they are. I don't remember if Ballas was a member or if he was just like a advisor. This has been mentioned as a part of Orc and... Hey, can you not? Thanks, bud.
Decrypted transmission. Listen.
Or he'll serve as an example.
Keep monitoring Adis. We need to know more.
Yeah, no, you're not. Yeah, they are taking a lot of damage. Watch me fail this quest, you know? I'm killing them as quick as I can.
We must exercise caution. Be patient.
Did your people do this?
A devil friend who did devil's work. He deserved this, Tango.
Uh-huh. not. Of course. I would like it if these guys would chill for long enough for me to regain a few shields, maybe? You should have sent something with a little bit more health. That's all I'm saying. The Tuvan throat singing has gotten very popular at this point. Oh, it's this.
Left between us and them. I'm trying to contact the Kavia, but
They have reverted.
Tenno, see reason. If the indifference encroaches upon the equipment here, it could trap your mind and leave your body an empty husk.
Seal the doors, Lloyd. I have to go deeper.
Yeah, Lloyd. I can't just get Ballast Belled outist.
With the seven splits, Baras held the casting vote. Pieces entirely in his hands, and the warmongers whisper in his ear day and night. Your presence may offend him.
But I saved his life.
Orokin gratitude is like summer lightning. Its light is fleeting merely, and wrath soon follows. Wait outside. I shall do what I can.
Wise Exam, first of the sentient Archimedeans, speak.
It's Galastra, Executor. Her anarchs now occupy every one of the known world seeders. Many of our blue nurseries lie in ashes. Tokam itself is threatened. We believe she may be receiving assistance. Executor Nitox is helping.
The Moon Parita is soon to be sovereign sentient territory per Article 92. All Orokin forces to withdraw. Remain and we violate the treaty. Depart and we abandon a friend in need. What then would you have me do about Galastra?
I have spoken to my fellow Archimedean. Your consort. It appears the world seeders have a weakness.
Close the door.
I do like the ballast glow up, you know. He's looking fresh. I don't have to hate ballast at all turns, you know. I can appreciate the drip, even if the man is, of course, garbage. Of course.
Remember, this place is holy to them, so mind your manners.
Maybe don't make a cratered landing.
You were born here? It's beautiful.
Okay. So is this, I assume it's just a sentient, what is dog shaped? Wolf shaped? Egg.
When I told Executive Bias of the peril Tunk Armor's facing, I little thought you would place me in charge of its defense. In this sacred place, the minds that had begun to grow on our long journey finally flowered. Tenno, Edith, in the spirit of Tunk Armor, I bind your souls together. Be the example we look to, the living truth of peace. The two of you have already been tested deeply, beyond any grade or metric. I have nothing left to teach. I deem you both tower on the debts. May your union never be sundered. A graduation present from the lady herself.
Egg.
Grenier, excellent. Target identified.
They're not ours. Balder, respond. Balder, come in, damn it. We've got a rogue battalion down here.
Negative, Tenno. Those traitors were blown off-site.
How?
A rogue executor and her lapdog. We need to get Insam out of there now. I'm sending a shuttle. You clear the landing zone. Shuttle inbound. It's taking some hits. Just make sure it sets down in one piece.
Oh hey, it's a little parallax. How nice.
Wait, we should help.
Oh, time. Thank you, Tenno. You two have been a singular headache at times, but I admit I shall miss our classes. Perhaps you might consider returning next year to speak to the new.
Dusted.
Just can't keep them alive, can you, kiddo? Everyone who cares for you ends up dead.
Categorically not true. We've got the Lotus and Teshin.
Ready?
Wow. We've got the Lotus and Egg.
Galastra tried to steal the life of my love. For that alone, she deserves death. But the complete extinction of the Tau blooms, which she plans to bring about, would hurl us back into a state of war. With the collusion of Executor Natak and her lackey Road, she has sequestered herself and her followers within the World Seeders, the armored Zeramin Ova of old. But they have a flaw, a destruct sequence. This Ayatan holds the trigger codes. Deliver it to the World Seeder's heart, and turn Galastra's fortress into her funeral pyre.
Now you might be wondering where the Tenno stashed that giant plug.
Hey, give him hell for me, kid.
Your people faced extinction. You found wisdom, and now you rise. Peace is trembling in our hands. Let us boldly grasp it.
Although it's like in every reality, Ballast just sucks.
Bring me my Ascaris.
Some real, in another life, I'd love to be burning your laundry and making you do taxes. Type shit. I do like the added lore that the reason why the Sentients. See, I like that. That was exactly what I was asking. Is why are the Sentients so anti, Earthnoid? We held our ground. We moved like wind. We held our ground. I mean, we moved like the wind. Let's be real. Just like another player or something? Gives me a buff.
You think you are the only ones to command me?
Fascinating. Okay. Captivating. Cool idea. She's gonna reverse engineer that. Meleeing her has not worked out as well as I thought it would do. Can we blind her? No. it's probably just gonna be shooting her with a trauma, let's be real. Yeah, okay. But no, I like whenever a story has me asking a question and then it answers that question, you know, within a reasonable time frame. So, I quite like that I naturally was thinking, like, why did the, you know, sentients, like, what drove them to do the whole war, you know? I was, like, realizing I didn't really have a clear-cut answer for that. And sure enough, then the game was like, hey, yeah, whenever we don't consume this flower, we are just, because of the nature that we were created, compelled to follow orders. And without, like, without good sets of orders, that becomes such an irresistible compelling kind of mental thing, I suppose. So compelled are they that they then become a hive mind, so that they can, you know, just all fulfill the orders of whatever is informing their hive mind, you know? I wish that this wasn't... This has to be easier. Like, what are we doing wrong here, man? You know, she's in reversing mode. Okay, she's back to full health. Like, buddy. What is happening? Like, is there... Do I need to hit her with, you know, the sword ain't doing it. Is it... Are we... No? That ain't it. You know, like, I really don't... I don't know. But her getting a full heal, I certainly wasn't fond of. Yeah, this is whack, dude. Does she always become Protea Prime? Or did I just, like, get, like, a bad roll? You know, can she become an E-frame, and she just happened to become one that I can't effectively kill? You know? Maybe we just trade melee. I don't... The speed buff from the other player was not helpful. Yeah, come down in something that's not Protea this time. Damn it, it's always Protea, isn't it? Yeah, sure she'll burn herself up. Which is why she got to use her 4 like 800 times, and it was not an issue. Just sicko mode shit. Can I not stand inside of her bombs? That would be nice. Do I need to kill the one that is the... Is that the trick? Is that I have to make sure I kill that one so that she doesn't get the healing? I am legitimately... I mean, I was talking mad trash on the boss fights that came before this, so a boss fight that actually calls for a level engagement, but I'm still saying that this is rough because it doesn't really let me use any of my builds or abilities in a meaningful way. Like, it is literally just like, hey man, can you headshot like, are you capable of being a headshotty enough dude. Yeah, okay. It seems like, yeah, targeting the initiating Protea. Okay. Doable. Get wrecked. Now, this is weird that, like, and I get it's probably for targeting reasons, but why was that Protea, like, twice the size of old Excalibur here? You know, making me look like a child Excalibur. 8 others, 8 others, or 8 others. Look, I think we held our ground. You know. Burn like Twin Suns might be the way to do that, but you know. Held ground. Maybe that's the trick. Maybe someone else will pick held ground and not move fast, which was not all too useful in that fight.
Losing them.
Bring them back.
I can't. They've gone too deep. Mama, breaking the perimeter seals, flooding the lamps. It's over.
Time to stomp the fucking murmur. I don't need Ace. I got my twin. Dark refractory. I'm still halvoing it. I don't know. It's like a survival mission. I got Tau damage, baby. What are they gonna do? Other than not drop any friggin' energy.
This will be your last trip. If the process is not completed this time, you will never come back up. Edith, I deserve to know.
Damn you, Lotus. I just want my Stella. Stella! Okay. Can't wait till I get to the park. You know, I'm gonna say held our ground. Is this other one there? Okay. We have burn like twin suns for all options. So I gotta figure out if I want to go with Sam, Scruffy Fluffy, or Brezak. It's gonna be the Scruffy Fluffy. We're burning like twin suns out here. Which is surely a great Madurai Wrecking Ball egg. If we egg, when we egg, it'll get Fabergé up in here. Oh. Big egg. Caliban. Maybe that's who I was thinking of earlier. I was thinking of Caliban. It was like Hero or Revenant. No, it was Caliban. He's the sentient Warframe. So, I expected him to sort of show up in here somewhere. It would have been cool, and I don't know if this is the case, but I doubt it. But it would have been very cool if this is whenever their primes debuted, you know? Like the first time that you were getting to actually see them in the game was like as boss fights. I suppose the relays sort of work that way, no? Oh no, not our phallus.
How many golden curse pots, Tango? Enough for a whole world? For a whole system?
Alice and the others, they used us, set us up.
Baccarat! Marvelous dies for this!
A little bit of an extreme, you know, reaction there, Hades. But I guess Margulis isn't the top. Yes, my dream is one. Yes. Yes, and we stood shoulder to shoulder, surely. It's not just for practice now, it's for real. And I know that I have to shoot at your turrets. I do like that earlier. They're like, if we have to fight again, then the Grineer might think that we're actually at war. LOL. I know writers who use subtlety, and they're cowards. Straight up. Yeah.
Marvelous couldn't have done this! Think, Adis! This is a setup! They're coming to kill us both! Don't you see? They'll cover it up! They always do!
I don't know why I gotta shoot at now, honestly. Is it the same Hanaholis Nova? Synovia? Okay. I'm glad, you know, I was complaining about this boss fight earlier, but I'm glad that they gave us a practice one so that the real one goes a little smoother. Am I just T-posing over there? Or what? Yeah, okay. Alright.
Tango. You were right. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We're together.
Tango, I heal. I try.
Meh. Well, one second though. Oh. Yeah, you gonna give me some other cool stuff to do besides the big laser? Wait, no, no, okay.
Sit up. Come on.
Let me feel sunlight. My light goes with you now.
Did you know?
Yes. I was meant to make sure. But I couldn't, Tango.
Bury him.
I meant to take him back to Talon Academy.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay. Thriller. Yeah, I'm undercutting the moment a little bit, but I don't know why this wasn't just a cutscene. Like, I'm gonna go back. Like, why? I suppose there is something to be said about giving the player agency over their own movement at times, but woof. Mm-hmm.
They're laughing at you up there, kiddo.
Now, I do see in teams that I go in, there like someone is always playing this character. You know, and I wonder if it's just because he's cool demonman, or if it's because this segment of the plot had really endeared people to him.
Change the code! Didn't you? Come out and face me!
Yeah, let's blow it all up.
I should have let Galastra tear you apart!
I mean, you know, it was Valis. Daklo? Daklo, I know we haven't been on good terms. I know I've talked a lot of shit, Daklo. This is your last chance to not get permaglassed, you fuck.
What did you see?
The Premier were prepared. They knew. The moment Palace announced the treaty was dead, they opened fire.
Now, Daklo, I want you to remember this moment, Daklo. Because even though you suck, I'm a real one.
Get out.
Yes. Yes, of course. Thank you.
Tap, tap, tap! You'll let me in, little piggy!
Now, we've gone full edge mode.
Tell me you had nothing to do with it.
You already know the truth.
Why am I sleepy?
You've had a very hard day, my angel. And we have a long journey back to Luna. The dream will keep the voices from taking hold.
You're going to make me forget, aren't you?
I will not have them accuse you of treason. If they come for you, they will have to go through me.
But Balance, if he did this, you... I'm so sorry.
You were used, just as she was. Tau is in sight. It will not be the place that you or I remember.
Good. I wouldn't want it to be. Alright. Yeah, the old piece. The old piece. Quest complete. A long forgotten promise is remembered. The truth of Tao is laid bare, even as the mocking whispers of indifference grow louder. Soon the final leap may, at last, be taken. Okay. To access Descendia and the Perita Rebellion, of course, use the Dark Refractory. This all makes sense. These are things you would love to do. Use the Dark Refractory, just go into Descendia. You know what that means. You know what that means. You can go into the Descendia, or the Perita Rebellion. You've got your focus school. You can, of course, pick your focus school. And then you can recall some events, and then the Descendia. So Perita Rebellions, that's for your opera. Descendia is, meanwhile, this is what the Drifter's up to, and he can get some, rewards. I guess you. Yeah, right, Ordis. You can get, we can get stuff. We can unlock new starting points. We can get some, we can get stuff. We can go down this pillar for some reason. I don't know. Maybe our inbox will make it clear.
My child, like you, I mourn for the peace that might have been. But we cannot make the past our prison. We look backward, only to learn where we are going. Ada's truth gem possessed a power rare among sentients. The power to heal our kind. If another like him exists, we must find them. Lloyd has granted us full use of the Dark Refractory. Use it. Your chaotic memories of Tau must be entered, tamed, and understood. Your memories of the Warframe Uriel have enabled Lloyd to reconstruct his blueprint. A difficult task, as the Orokin attempted to destroy all copies. Use Uriel with caution, if you use him at all.
I feel like they saw Chainsaw Man and they went, that's cool. We should make a Warframe that's that, but we can't put chainsaws on it. That would obviously be infringement. I don't know. But it is very the Tinno Devil type, the Heretic of Zata. Alright. We got, okay. Fascinating. Well, with that, I think that's it for everything that is out as far as new quests. I've beaten Warframe. No, obviously there's more to do. There's more to see. I have 1999 to complete. And as far as I understand, the next content will be going to Tau. I'll have to see. I didn't watch any of the TennoCon 2026 stuff because, naturally, spoilers. But I figure that's the next step is Tau. I wonder if they're going to do an open world or if it's going to be... I gotta imagine that they do an open world. But, instead of just, mission-based structures. I just wonder if it's going to be, a single system like Earth kind of is, like a star chart thing, or if it's going to be its whole own chart with a couple different things. I'm curious. I'm curious what it'll be. Also, I guess I shifted. So I assumed at the beginning of this that we were viewing. This is interesting, right? Because I assumed the narrative so far had actually been that I was on the Zeraman. The Zeraman was headed to colonize Tau. Void shenanigans happen. I become a Tenno along with the rest of the group. Because I make a deal with the Indifference, I'm able to persist as I am, but I cut off. I collapse all of my other possibilities into just myself. However, this does create one other possibility of me that didn't make that deal, who is the Drifter. But then I assumed that after that event, after the Zeraman incident, that I immediately went into the dream. But what this is saying is no. I moved on to the academy in Tau. See, I assumed that I immediately went into being dreaming, and like all the Margulis and Ballas Fallout kind of happened in the background, and all the fall of the Orc Empire was a part of that. But I suppose the rise of the Tenno had to happen in there somewhere. It wasn't just like immediately blah guy and garbage. But we are the first Tenno, I assume. Like, the survivors of the Zeraman are the only Tenno, as far as I understand, as far as I know. And then, I mean, other people can do transference, but it kills them, it burns them out, as we were seeing. They're not void attuned, so they can't transference like we can. Although that one Archimedean, she did it just fine into a tree or something, so who knows? Sorry if I'm really creaky right now, voice-wise. I was just like leaning back and stretching a bunch and just being like, ah. Anyway. But what I had assumed was that we were using the Void, like Sanctum Autonoma there to access different possible realities and not the actual memories and past that we had forgotten after the dream. But what it seems like, I don't know that this is a retroactive thing, because like with 1999, it does seem like we have created we're exploring a fractious reality, where we're going to like a world state that doesn't actually exist because we actually weren't there in 1999. We're not doing a real time travel. It's just like we're creating we're accessing an alternate sort of dimension, state, right? Like a void state, if that makes sense. Because the void basically, it is carte blanche to do anything, to be in any setting and to do anything. Which Duviri, I think, was really. I think some people maybe don't like where Duviri gets positioned, but I do think it's important that you position Duviri early enough to establish, yeah, the Void can just do whatever. It can just do anything. Like, the Void is an excuse to go buck wild with it, Make sure I don't have anything in the foundry, and then let me check these. Let me check the ready to build stuff. I assume I didn't pick up anything. I have a lot of this stuff that I have to make out of a forma that I don't want to waste my forma on. I'm not chasing mastery that hard, Anyway, so yeah. I guess I don't have Exilus weapon adapters, and so I'd have to use a former to do those. I know I'm going to have to make at least one of those, so I'd rather do that instead of spending 20 plat. Anyway, I assumed that we were doing the same thing that we were doing with 1999 in order to access a hypothetical reality in which there was actually a peace that was brokered between the sentience and humanity. But what it seems like is that all actually happened, and we just didn't remember it, and we were using this to access our actual memories of it, and to kind of retroactively live through it because Void shenanigans, but like, Void shenanigans let us actually, in a way, physically access it. And so because we're physically accessing it, we can actually gain those abilities, not through remembrance, but through having lived it, technically. At least I assume that that's how that works. Or that's how I'd write it, But yeah. So it seems like, at least this time, it seems like we actually, after the events at the Zeraman, we managed to make it to Tau, and I suppose that's kind of what the ugh, that's kind of what the Zeraman Holdfast background explored, was because there was mentions of like what those people did in their dying moments, what all the Holdfast were up to, and one of the big things was that they managed to save the Tenno, of course, at great sacrifice to all of their lives, right? Which is why our Tenno minds are able to, then recall them within the void of the Zeraman, whatever. Anyway, point being that I suppose we were delivered to Tau, and then we actually accessed that academy, and we were there, and then that's the whole academy situation. That's literally what we saw, what kind of ended up resulting in the eventual war, and I assume that this was all of Ballas's plan from the jump, was I'm going to, like, we thought it was the one woman's, but Ballas just hijacked that for himself, basically, where he's like, well, if I can force the sentience into the hive mind, and then I can just control that hive mind, doing that will give me enough power to essentially control the universe and not just be one of these 7, but I can false flag it and then create the situation such that I am, instead of just being one of the 7, I have created a situation where I am assumed blameless in essentially getting all the rest of the 7 killed, either by sentience or through Tenno revenge, basically. Though I say Tenno revenge, Warframe revenge, Warframe genocides and stuff, I think that a big part of that is also that, as we saw at the end there, Margulis establishes, well, no, in order to spare you and to keep you from taking the blame for all of this, for this false flag deal, I'm going to then have you, and I assume all the Tenno that she saved. Like, she becomes the Lotus in that moment, which is why she... Well, it's Nata that's the Lotus, but you know what I mean. And that's why I guess the helmet makes sense. Nata technically doesn't need it because she's a sentient hybrid thing, whatever she is. But the Lotus, I keep saying the Lotus. It's Margulis. Margulis is able to put the Tenno that remain into slumber. And I don't know if she does this to all the Tenno. I assume that she does because I assume that's like the whole second dream thing, and that's affecting every Tenno except for like Harrow or whatever. The odd ones out, obviously. But yeah, so then that made us lose our memories, and then that's what led to us sleeping in the pod until and then like that's why there was the falling out between Margulis and Ballas in the first place, and ultimately because he felt betrayed by that action, right? Because she had more sympathy for these kids that have been false flagged into taking the blame than her betrayer, her spouse, fiance, lover, whatever. And then he ends up killing her and then creating a sentient to resemble her, I assume, which is the whole deal with Nata. I'm trying to remember all of this. So yeah, instead of this being a retroactive history that we created through a Void experience, or at least experienced through Void, although it's not actually true, which is what I assumed going in. No, this was actually us using the Void to relive, not relitigate, but just relive our actual memories that we had of those events. I believe that's the case. Now, I could be completely wrong, and, hopefully you'll let me know, but I did say that I wanted to go to the Codex, and I assume we're caught up on main quests until they put out new ones. So that's cool. But I want to search for, can I just search, like, sentient? I mean, is that just going to pull up factions? Yeah, these are all the little characters that I would have scanned, but I was hoping for something a little bit more here. Yeah, I was hoping for... I mean, Laverian's how we get more involved info on all of these. I was hoping that the Codex would maybe give me a little bit more knowledge than that. Whew. Sorry, I am very in the, like, creek zone. I don't like when my voice will settle into that higher sort of, like, top of the throat register whenever I am needing some sleep or otherwise. So I should probably go lay down, honestly. Get a nap after all of this warframing. But, I should probably give some, like, thoughts on all of this. So I do think this is neat. It is a cool recontextualization of events that we kind of vaguely had in place. You're never going to make me care about the sentient. Sorry. Being like, yes, the hive mind machines that wanted to eliminate all of humanity, actually, if they eat this super special flower, they can be, like, best nice little boys, and they don't even speak broken English, but they just want to be good friends, and they revived you, and they love you. Sob story, man. And maybe it's because you've already established them as the murder robots that exist to be murder robots that are Ballas's murder robot army. That he created explicitly to be murder robots, and that there was never anything inherently tragic to them, and so this feels additive rather than with the Warframes, you were always looking at, like, a human who was undergoing some It's interesting, right? I will say that is the interesting thing, is that the Warframes underwent, in order to become more capable of being like a race of super murder machines, to be the Warframes, they had to sacrifice their humanity, whereas the sentient, in order to become more, like, they never had humanity, and then they briefly kind of gained more of that, and that allowed them to have will beyond the hive mind or the mode of, serving as a tool or a machine. But then that was, of course, only afforded to them because of a flower on Tau. Which again, I will I will beef with that as a MacGuffin ass plot device. I do think that that's really weird and arbitrary. Of like, okay, so you made the murder machine robots, and then oh, they're too good at being murder machine robots. What are we gonna do? And then oh, it just so happens that there's this plot device that makes them able to, rationalize and be normal and not be murder machine robots. But Ballas is like, no, I need them to be murder machine robots for my plan. Ugh, I gotta destroy all the flowers. And, you know, the lotus symbolizes hope, okay? It reeks of, like, I guess the hand of the author is too obvious for that one for me, right? Where it's too readily, clearly a narrative device just to do something. Like it's a heavy-handed way of recontextualizing the sentient beyond the way that we understand them. I do think it has a lot of neat outcomes and affords a lot of cool little interactions and all of that. It's just because of how arbitrary and like obviously arbitrary and not like, I guess I'm trying to grasp for like if there is a thematic kind of element to the flower MacGuffin, which because like I don't mind if something's plot devicey if it fits within like a larger narrative structure in a way. Like I don't think something's a Deus Ex Machina just because it's unexpected. I think it's a Deus Ex Machina whenever, again, the author's hand is perhaps too obvious and it doesn't narratively connect to what is extant already. But like if something's a Chekhov's gun, right? If it's already been established from the narrative, either thematically or just in the narrative, then I don't take that to be a necessarily to be a Deus Ex Machina. And this sort of thing will come up all the time, right? People will complain about, especially in manga, read a lot of manga, people will complain about that sort of thing, where they're like, oh, this power-up was such a Deus Ex Machina. It's like, yeah, but the world already established that characters can, gain these powers, and you knew this character had the capacity for that, and also maybe even had a power that they hadn't revealed yet. So is it really that, like, whenever push comes to shove, they're like, okay, I'm going to use the power that you suspected that I had all along, and then that's going to turn the tide of this conflict? And it's like, well, yeah, it wouldn't make sense in universe for them to use the thing if it wasn't going to change the outcome of the combat scenario anyway. And I think the same thing goes, for Warframe here, where it's like, I'm trying to find places thematically or narratively where the sentient flower was either was essentially planted or set up, aside from, yes, I guess the lotus, but that again, that feels like more retroactive to me than otherwise. It doesn't feel like it exists within a continuity as much as it is like, well, what are we going to make the MacGuffin? We'll make it something that we can kind of sort of make a hand, like a vague gesture towards everything else with. And I don't know, it doesn't connect clearly enough for me, but it's a very small thing to get hung up on. Otherwise, like I said, I did enjoy this story a lot. I think for whatever all that they did, the Ada stuff worked. I am always out here complaining about the Warframe bosses. The bosses in Warframe are atrocious. I'm not a fan of them, and so the fact that sorry, I'm just trying to get Wukong to pose up good. Give him the Cedo, please. We've played with the Halfu enough. Anyway. Yeah, there we go. That's have him play with the Parazon. It's good times. Anyway, but no, I just I do think that the Ada stuff was handled pretty well, and yeah, to its credit, the boss fight ends up working out better once you know its mechanics. Figuring them out could have been perhaps a little better tutorialized. Um, and fighting that boss doesn't feel especially great. Um, I would maybe make the spawn points for the like jump grapples not be up its anus. Be pretty nice. It was kind of frustrating that you know that you would pop the aerial spawn, the aerials for having a jump so that you can launch yourself in the air. I think it gave you a buff too, and that you could then shoot this thing in the face or better hit the weak points. And like that seems to be the intention, like way to engage with that fight, and also get off the ground where all the explosions and lasers are happening, right? But again, every time that I launched and I went straight into the model, like through the model of this thing, did not feel great. But again, I like that they gave you kind of a truncated version of that battle as a teaser, so you could at least prove that you learned the mechanics. So whenever the actual climactic version of that fight happened, where there were stakes, you knew what you needed to do, instead of you spending 10 plus minutes fumbling around like, where do I shoot it? I had to hit it in the nipples? What's going on? Blow up its calves and its like its collarbones? What are we doing? So, I do appreciate that they tutorialized that lightly. And again, it gave you a kind of a neat. Speaking of recontextualization, you expect that the first time you're doing that, you think it's, oh, this is serious business. I'm Excalibur Prime. We're doing it. This is some real Tau, oh, we're fighting the sentient. And then it's like, oh no, it's just me and my friend playing around. And then it gets serious. And then it gets, more serious. As far as the whole revival, like, I feel like, again, kind of an issue. I brought this up with the 1999 content, right? Where it's, if you're going to introduce me to a new character and then kill them off within an hour's playtime and like 20 minutes of cutscenes, it's going to take a lot for you to endear them to me enough that I like feel that. And I mean, I know that using music is kind of a cheat code towards doing that, and so I'm sure that affected some folks. I don't think it quite got me there. I did not tear up. I do feel things pretty openly, but no, this one didn't affect me as much. Maybe again, because if we had a clear rationale for why I can be buddies with a sentient other than setting up a tragedy very clearly, then perhaps that would have worked better. And again, that's why I was kind of harping on the MacGuffin status of the whole, all the deal with the flowers is that that being flimsy then makes the rest of it not hit as much for me. But I mean, I still think they did a really good job with making Adis a compelling enough character and one that you care about enough that within that smaller time frame, there is the legitimate tragedy to the outcome of everything and how it all goes down. It does, of course, and I always hate when this happens. Not, I think hate's strong. It always does sour me a little on any story whenever a story just reminds me of another story that I liked more. And the whole, my light goes with you, Adis thing. I do like the idea of Adis explaining why we can revive in matches. Like why we have the power of resurrection. I assume that that's the case, that Adis is the narrative beat that explains why we can self-revive. And if so, that's cool. Like, if I'm not just inventing that, but it seems like that's the idea, is that we can revive because we carry Adis's restorative light within us, and if we're able to further tap in that light, perhaps we can heal those damaged by the void, which, again, the Kavia storyline kind of hinted towards a little bit, too. So, that's neat. And if we can help those who've been affected by the void, perhaps we have more of an effect over the indifference, which will be useful. Perhaps, maybe. Maybe that's why we're cool with the indifference in the first place, you know? Why us and the indifference get along a little bit more, other than, you know, the fact that we did a big handshakey. But no, I was reminded of Clash Artifacts of Chaos, which is the third game in the Xenoclash franchise by, I think they're Brazilian guys, the Ace Team. They make a bunch of neat games. They did like the Rock of Ages games, I think, are the most popular, but they did Xenoclash. They made a bunch of other weird side-scrolling games that I didn't like as much. They did the Eternal Cylinder, which I do think is a game worth playing for sure. But Artifacts of Chaos, Clash, which is a rough... Clash Artifacts of Chaos is a rough title. You know, they could have just called it Xenoclash 3, and I honestly wish they did, but whatever. They wanted to divorce it from the whole, you know, because it's a prequel, whatever. But in that, a very central part of the plot is that you are Big McFight Man who do the fight real good, but you bond with this very cute little magical creature that is able to magically heal things, right? And what you come to find out is, of course, that it's not... I guess, spoilers for Clash. Play Clash. That's, you know, but I'm going to try to keep it very simple. The tragedy of that plot is that you know, as you come to find out pretty quickly, it's not that it heals things, it just links to things and they share their vitality, right? And one of the very kind of great lines in that is a reflection on death and works better than the my light goes with you scene, which kind of relies on one, having to do all this narrative nonsense to recontextualize the sentient as people that could be your friends instead of a murder race of robots. But the potential for them to heal, isn't that great? You know, whatever. But part of that is that, you know, all of that hinges on a lot of different things to finally get you into My Light Goes With You, which is becomes this magical thing that lets you continue to literally heal yourself and move on, thanks to the bond that you had to somebody else that, you know, you had a lived experience. And I think that's beautiful. But Clash, without, you know, and again, not without getting into specifics, has a very good, because it's less of a I just magically heal you, and it's more like we have this shared bond of whenever I'm in pain, you're in pain. Whenever I'm feeling great, you're feeling good. There's a very good speech that comes near the end of that game where the character's like, look, you know, if ever you think about me and it hurts, that's because you have this profound connection to me, you know, and if you think about me and it feels good, that's our connection still, even if I'm not physically there, even if I'm not, even if I've passed away, the bond that we have, that is this sort of connection, it can be both pain as well as nurturing, and that will forever endure. And, you know, eventually maybe that will come to fade and you won't feel those things as deeply. but it, nevertheless, that bond is still, it is testament. And I think that's a really cool recontextualization of the pain of loss, of the bittersweetness of memory of a loved one who is either passed away, or that you just have some distance from for any given reason, right? That like you have an act, like it's the connection that you feel, and there's this sort of mutuality that's strained there, rather than it being necessarily like a strain of want or desire to be around that person again. It's just like it's a manifestation of this connection that you have, and I think that's cool. So I feel like this was kind of pulling from the same well, right? It doesn't quite get there as much as, again, Clash did, which I don't think it's necessarily fair to say, oh yeah, this reminds me of this other story that I think did this thing better. I mean, all art exists in context of all other art, as everything is in context of everything else. But this is all to say that I do think they're playing with a lot of ideas that I really like here, and I enjoyed. Again, I think Warframe does a very good job of having its main content, at least for the recent stuff that I've been playing, both inform and give a little narrative arc that is interesting and deepens both the world and themes of the game, and the characters too. Think like all the 1999 stuff does a lot to make the Drifter an actual character. I think just by sheer feat of having a lot of the dialogue in the little chat system, really, and that you can really lean into him being like a weird, awkward fell son if you wanted to, I suppose. But anyway, that I think the strength of each of these mainline quests has really been not just doing all of that for those narrative points, but also setting up a next beat that you have a lot to look forward to. So, 1999, obviously everything like is looking forward constantly, since, the, really, like all the stuff with the sentient, really, I suppose, but, these last few ones especially have been like, okay, and now we're doing Sanctum now we're doing the Sanctum stuff to try to invest in what's going on with Albrecht, and what is he up to? What's going on with the Indifference? What's the Calamos sequence? Like, what's the goals of all of this? And then that through 1999 overflows into, okay, this is all for essentially powering our mode of accessing Tau. And then it's like, okay, well, Tau is clearly going to be very important regarding the entire conflict that we're having with the Murmur and the Indifference. And, now here with Old Peace, not only do we get those cool, again, I guess depth as well as a bit of recontextualization, honestly, but we get more depth for characters like Margolis and Ballas and the operator and all of them. But then, moreover, we end on this big note of like, okay, now we're going to Tau, right? And yeah, I assume that is the next big beat for the plot, because that follows what we have been doing. So I suppose, next time I will, my next stream, I guess, I am no longer the new Warframe player, I suppose, is really the answer. I am now caught up in all of the content outside of, like, side stuff. Obviously, I go farm Noko, whatever. I gotta do all these, missions. I have to hit rank 5 and, the new, the 1999 crew, right? The Hex. I'm gonna rank up with them, but that'll be like a week. So yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'll do a stream that's like my thoughts on Warframe or what, but this has been fun. I mean, this has taken a lot longer than I thought it would. I'll give you my total playtime in a second. I have 511 hours of playtime in Warframe. I was playing like Breath of Fire 3 whenever I decided to start on Warframe, and I had to completely binge it because I was like, I'm not going to get any of this done if I'm trying to spread my attention. If I go to my profile, I think I can actually, not codex, I think I can actually see what the, quote-unquote in-game hours or in-mission hours are. Get stats. Yeah, so 281 hours of time played. Got my star chart done. I have still past star chart to do, but hey. I suppose I haven't gotten any Stratos emblems. I don't know what half of this stuff means. I don't do Conclave. I don't know what Lunaro is. There's operations you can do. Big shrug. My Happy Zephyr score is garbage. But yeah, I suppose I can tell people, yeah, Warframe, catch up to where you currently are. It's only going to take you, if you want to get up to the regular continent, it's going to take you like 500 hours. 100-hour tutorial. Great game. Obviously, you're playing this to play a forever game. I think it functions well enough on that. I think the storytelling, honestly, for an MMO, the storytelling, I think, is handled, at least in the newer content, where you're not forced to listen to a kid yap at you. All the stuff on Earth sucks, I will say. Not doing it for me. But, most of the story is parsed out in ways that I think are neat and effective and lightweight but evocative, which is probably the way to handle an MMO story nowadays. Because let me tell you, the kids ain't reading all that. They've been indoctrinated. They see more than 2 sentences and it scares them. Again, I don't think everybody's on that. I think there's definitely a thirst for engagement in deeper lore. That's the interesting thing, is there's been such a shift towards make it optional, make it backgrounded. That's what the people that want to dive into that will do that. That will want to get the deep lore, that want to go into the codex and listen to all that stuff, and the lecterns, whatever they're called, right? What are they called? The Leverians, yes. I look at factions. Is adversaries the same? Okay, it's those. Okay, never mind. Yeah. So, I all in all, I'll say Warframe is a solid experience. If it's the sort of game that you're looking to play, if you want a forever game, you can certainly do worse. I think the narrative is fine. It's I think it's doing interesting and fun things. I wouldn't exalt it as like the greatest writing ever in video games. You have to experience this plot. But I think for what it is, it more than well meets the brief, and I think it has some surprising and fun moments in there. I've griped about aspects of the gameplay, like I said, like Duviri. But there's a lot of parts that feel pretty good. I've been playing this on the PS5 controller, and the haptics and the just like the rumble profiles and everything have been really nice, actually. Even playing this on the PC client. via Steam. So yeah, uh, it's been a good and fun time, and I will probably continue to enjoy it for some time yet. But I think after I hit rank 5 with the Hex crew, I'm probably gonna just stop until the new content comes out, because I don't want to burn out on all of this, And I feel like if like I know I could grind to be like an invincible still path murder machine, but I don't really care to do that. Anyway, there's infinitely more game to game in here. And maybe some days whenever I just feel like turning off my brain and killing a bunch of stuff in my robot so that I can have a better robot, so that I can better kill stuff in my robot, so that I can have a better robot, so that I can better kill stuff in my robot, so that I can get on a DE stream and tell them, hey, can you guys let me take my robot into more missions? I really like my robot. Please let me just void rig. Please more void rig stuff. So offshoot of all this is the void rig is like, I know they know that it's kind of broken and that it's in a balanced place right now where if they don't touch it, they don't have to nerf it, and so it's fine, but just let me use it in more content and give me more void rig options. It's tragic there's only 2, and that like the customization options are basically nothing. That's whack. That's wiggity whack, and you know it, DE. Why can't I put Nux on my void rig, DE? It's not good. I just want to put Nux on my void rig. Why can't I have a void rig with Nux? I want Nux on the void rig. Do you know how cool it would be to have Nux on the void rig? Ugh. Maybe I'll just stop playing this game until they let me put Nux on my void rig. And every single dev stream, I will be the guy in the dev stream that says I refuse to play this game until you put Arc Melee on the void rigs so that I can put my Nux up and finally punch Ballas right in his shit. And then, yeah, of course, please let me fight Ballas with the void rig so I can hit him in his Ballas with my Nux. There would be nothing better. Like, you would have the best game of all time, really, then. Then I would have to tell everyone, yeah, Warframe is a pretty neat game. It's kind of long in the tooth, but that's the sort of game you want. But you do get to punch a guy that you come to really hate this one character. They do a good job of really building up this antagonist. And you do get to get in your super robot, and you can equip it with cool big knuckles, and you can hit him right in his ass, and it feels good. He goes flying, and he ragdolls, and then you go, yeah, I'm the coolest guy. So just let me have Nux on the void rig is all I'm saying. It's a tragedy. Why can I only have Nux on my frickin' Arcwing? No one wants Nux on their Arcwing. Are you crazy? Are you nuts? It's like giving me the ability to have truck balls, but I can only put it on an SUV. Are you out of your mind? Nux. Void rig. Otherwise, I'm not playing this game until it happens.